Hello and welcome to the official AI business channel. Now in the last video we took I gave a brief review actually of Replit, and I wasn't too impressed, and I did promise that I would actually road test this live. So I want to keep this video very raw. I've just come up with a new concept, a new app idea. I've tried about 5 or 6 different apps, couldn't get any of them to work. So I'm really struggling, but I want to kind of show you where I'm struggling. So I'm going to show you really start to finish a bit more about Replit, and then hopefully you can kind of see what the tool is like, where the problems lie, to see if you can kind of fix them. But for those who don't know, Replit is a no-code builder. So it's designed for people like me that are not coders but have ideas and want to create apps. So with that said, I'm going to share my screen. We're going to dive in and I'll talk you through the app that I want it to build. Okay, so this is Replit. I have the core version, which is about now $180 a year. And the concept is really you just you describe what you want to build, just the same way you would type into ChatGPT. Replit takes that text input and then converts that into code. So the app idea I've come up with here is an app called Senior Social. So it's a very basic tool where older people can meet and share similar interests. So, kind of very conscious that old people do get lonely. And I think this would be quite a nice way to try and connect people that are not tech savvy. So this needs to be very simple. And it has to have a kind of radius function because we know they can't get around. So one of the mistakes I think I may have made before is that I've made everything a bit too basic, a bit too simple in terms of the text input. So what I wanted to do here was create something. I used ChatGPT just to flesh this out. So it's outlined the key features and also a kind of user journey example. And at the bottom here, I've said, as the users will be less used to apps than younger generation, it needs to be very simple in its interface. And it has to have the ability to make the fonts larger in case that the eyesight is not very good. So I'm going to copy and paste all of this into Replit. So it has all of the information, quite a detailed outline of exactly what we want to build. So there shouldn't be any, but there'll be questions, and you'll kind of see how this works. So let me just cut and paste that in, and then we click Start Building. Now there's quite a bit of text, so this may take a little while. And as I say, I want to make this video quite raw, but to build it completely in real time, you'll be switching off. Like, I totally get it. So I'm going to try and speed up the bits which maybe it's just taking a bit too long to think about it. But what Replit is doing now is it's taking that input, it's accepted that it can do that. So it said, absolutely, let me propose what we're going to build. And then on the very first page here, it will give us some potential additional features that we can build in. So within this example, it has said, do you want to implement voice message instructions and text to speech for better accessibility? Add integrations with local community centers and event listings, develop a volunteer system for community helpers, and create interest-based group and clubs within the app. Now they're all great features, but I don't want to put too much into this. I want to keep it fairly simple and basic because I just want it to build an app. So let's see if we can actually go from start to finish and create something here. So I'm not going to add these additional features. We're just going to keep the initial prototype, that minimal viable product, which hopefully it will come up with. So I'm going to approve that plan. And as you'll note here, so this is the environment. So this is the environment. You'll see here that it's creating all of these Python files, all of the Flask files, etc. And on the left here where it says files, you will see that Replit will start generating those. So if it needs additional libraries, if it needs things like Beautiful Soup or OpenAI keys and things like that, it will ask you for that. So it does build all those in there. So that's why this tool looks amazing. That's why I really wanted to invest in this tool, because it just took out a lot of the work that ChatGPT couldn't do. And we know that there's new tools coming out. Maybe it will in the future, but this one looked like the best tool to do everything from a no-code point of view. So what's the time? I'm going to keep an eye on the time now because it's 5:25. Yeah, so we started this 2 minutes ago. Just going to give us an idea of the timings as well. So as you can see, it's continuing to build out all of these files on the left. And I will say just while it's building this as well. So I think I got this tool about 2 weeks ago, maybe a little bit over 2 weeks ago, and it was $120 a year. So, you know, for $10 a month, it was worth trying, but that has now gone up to 180, which still sounds cheap if we can get it working. So look, I want this tool to work. I don't want to just say this is a useless tool, and I hope it will get us to build something, which is why I wanted to do this live. Okay, that's still continuing. A lot of these things, again, I'm not a coder, so a lot of these things, I kind of recognize them because I have recruited into the tech space for a number of years. But in terms of putting all these files together, downloading all the libraries, this is a much, much quicker way of doing it. You'll see here that it's installed GOP. And there you go. So it's come up with a basic outline. And I'll just talk through actually a couple of tabs. So you'll see some tabs appear here. So you'll have the progress tab. Click on that. So that will show you as the app's actually building, or once the app is playing, it's going through. It shows you everything being built here, but we've already gone past that. This is the web view. So this has a couple of things that we have mentioned. So it's a basic website, which is fine. You can connect with other seniors in your area and share your interests. Let's just do the larger text, see if this works. Yeah, it does. And a higher contrast. So that's something we didn't even ask it to do. But again, it's shown that it can do some cool things there. So we like that. Okay. So then you have to look along here. So this is the interaction box with Replit. So is the main page loading correctly? Can you see the welcome to senior social message and the register and login buttons? Yes, we can see that. So we're going to put yes. We're not going to worry about the functionality yet because it will go through that. Okay. So now Replit is thinking. And it has built that, to be fair, like it has built that in, how many minutes ago? Within 5 minutes, we've gone from an idea in an input box to a very basic, albeit, but a basic web structure, web app structure here. Okay, so it said, also another thing to note, you'll see that when it gets to certain points, it builds in these rollbacks. So if there is an issue, you can roll back. Now, one of the things it's saying, are you ready to share this? Do you want to deploy this Replit into production? Now, it's too early to deploy this. You know, this really doesn't do anything. Even though all of the inputs I gave, so let me go back. So it's got 9 key features here. So event and meetup creation, hobby clubs and groups, safety, privacy features. Like it hasn't built any of these. It's kind of ignored all of that. So I do not want to deploy this. I've completed the plan successfully. Well, the following steps are executed. Not really. So let's just click on register to see if anything happens. Okay, and it's hit an error. No, it's not going to be able. And the reason it's done that, again, I'm not a coder. I'm talking. Anything I say here is from the point of view of a no coder. It's exactly who it's built for. But I would assume this is because it hasn't built any data backend. So how are you going to register? Where's it going to store the data, etc.? That part's not there. So I'm going to go back. Can I go back? No, I'm going to refresh. Okay, so definitely not ready to deploy. I've completed the plan successfully. The following steps are executed. Build the initial prototypes. Okay, so I don't think it's complete, so I'm going to put not good. Okay, So I'm going to interact with the box here. Nothing happens when I click register, and you've missed off most of the features I suggested. Okay, so it's going to have a think about that, and we'll see what it spits out. So as you can see, it's determining, and now it said, I apologise for the oversight. We'll fix the registration process and implement the missing features. First, I'll debug the fix the registration functionality. So, what this is good at, it does, or I'm not saying it's good at it, it's good at saying that it's going to fix the issues, but it doesn't. Where I've struggled is it doesn't fix the issues. And sometimes it just gets stuck, and it says it's going to take an action and doesn't take an action. But let's see if that happens with this app. Okay, so it has, as you'll see here, it's created this new registration page. The large text is still working. I'd like it to potentially make that a bit bigger. It's not much in terms of options when it comes to small text, smaller text and bigger text. Okay, but it's saying here, can we try registering a new user with the following details? Username, test user 1. Email address. Test user 1 at example.com. Test password, interests, reading, gardening, and location, New York. Okay, after submitting, please check if you're redirected to the login page with a success message. So we will register. Okay. And it hasn't taken us, so it has hit an internal server error. So I'm going to cut and paste that. Actually, an annoying thing on this as well, if you highlight the text in this box and Control-C, I'm on a Windows laptop, it doesn't copy it, so you have to, it only works when you right-click. And even then it's a bit temperamental. So let's copy that. Right-click, copy, and then Control-V. So we're giving it the error feedback. So we certainly shouldn't see a server overload. I think this is going to be an error in the application, so it's just determining the best approach. Okay, it's saying it has identified the issue with the registration and is working on fixing it. This should resolve the internal server error experienced. Give it a moment and it will implement a fix. We'll then test the registration again. Okay, so that's refreshing now. Restarting. Test user 1. Oh, okay. Can you please try registering a new user without providing geolocational data? Okay. Can you please try registering a new user without providing geolocational data, latitude and longitude? Like, I'm not sure why it asked that. Who's ever going to provide that? It's weird. Okay. So it's just saying some random users here, so I'm going to do that. Test user 2. Test user 2 example. Okay, different password. interest, cooking, hiking. Location is Chicago. Okay, after submitting, please check if you're redirected to the login page with a success message. Click register. And no, we get the internal server error again. So, no, I still get the same error. Okay, so now we still get the same error. We've input that error into the database. So this isn't, again, this hasn't got into the nitty gritty of what we're building here. This is basically just built as a very, very basic structure registration page. So we haven't looked at anything to do with the front end. We're just working on the back end at this point. Okay, so let's reset that again. I'm going to wait until it refreshes. Okay, so now we're going to do it test user 3. Location is Boston. Okay, let's try it one more time. Okay, template not found. So it's a different error. Just going to cut and paste all of that. So it's changed something. So hopefully this gives a bit more detail and it can troubleshoot this error. Okay, so it says it's identified the issue causing the error. The login.html template was missing. Now creating the file, which should resolve the error and allow users to access the login page. Okay, we're now 15 minutes in. Okay, let's do it again. Test user 4. Okay, let's register and hope 4th time lucky. Hurrah. Okay, so it has troubleshooted that, so that's quite good. So we are advancing, we're getting there. So now let me log in. Okay, so now that has got us a page. We're actually doing really well. We're doing good so far. So it's logged in. It's created the test user, logged the interests. There'll be some things we'd need to do. So from here, I'm looking at we'd need a drop down, a way for people to connect. So people that are into gardening, as an example, so they can find people with similar interests in the same area. But it has created users. Now, interestingly, it's got this send message. And it has the ability to create a meetup. So if I wanted to create a book club on a Friday, we could do that. Okay, so before we do that, let's just read what's in this box here. Please try to register a new user with the following details. Okay, let's put, that has worked. That has worked and I have logged in. Shall we test creating a meetup? And let's see what it says. Absolutely. Let's test the meetup creation feature. Please follow these steps. Click on the Create a Meetup button or navigate to the meetup creation page. Okay, so to be fair, I hadn't even looked at all of the menu items there, which is good. Okay, but we're going to do it on number 1. We're going to click on this create button, so I want to see that if that works. Okay, so let's call this book club. Book club for over 70s in New York. Okay, it's put in a calendar as well, so that's cool. So let's say that we're going to do that on Friday at 1 o'clock. That's saved. And I'm just going to do New York. I know I'm putting New York Starbucks. There's probably about 500 in New York, if not more. But let's just try and create that. Okay, so that has created a meetup. Okay, fill in the details such as title description, submit the form. Once you complete these steps, let me know if the meetup was created. Yes, it was created. Is there a way to notify other members in the app if they are within range and have similar interests? Okay, so adding a new feature now. That wasn't a feature that we thought of, but let's see if it can add this feature in. And sometimes I've found in other apps I've tried to build that the memory fails in this. So you can, in the best way in the world, as you know, we're not product experts. You have an idea in your head, and it's only when you kind of put it in paper and try and test and play with it, you think, actually, how will other people, for example, know that this meetup has been created? How can people reach out to others to invite them along, etc.? Which is why we come up with this idea. And we have a look. He said, that's a great idea. Notifying nearby matches with similar interests would definitely enhance the app's functionality. We'll work on implementing this feature. It will involve adding tags to meetups, creating a notification system, and developing a method to match users based on location and interests. This will make it easier. Okay. Now, it's come up with this suggestion. It said this is a good idea. What's happened, and something I've found, this may be where we get stuck, because it's not thinking. Like when we asked it to do other tasks here, it went away and thought about it and then started to implement it. This is not doing it here. So I may try to kick it into gear. Can you make these changes? See where it's got the thinking box. So where this says thinking now, and it's reviewing the instructions. Determining the approach. Okay, so we've instructed our development team to implement the notification feature, blah, 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 blah. This will integrate into the meetup creation process, making it easier for others to discover and join relevant meetups. Okay, so still thinking about it. It's saying detecting potential issues, thinking. Trying to see if it does it. Okay, so it has. It's gone and edited the Python file, restarted the Flask server. Still thinking about it. Okay, let's create a new checkpoint. Please try and register a new user with the following details. Test user 5. Seattle, Sleepless Inn. Okay. Register. Okay, that's logged it. Okay, after submitting, please check your redirect to the login page. Also, try to register again with the same user or email to see if error handling works. Yep. So I'm going to use the test user 5. I'd also like, because I can't remember what I typed here, what I got up to, a little eye icon. Sometimes you have an eye icon so you can see your password. So I want to see if we can implement that in a minute. Password test. Password 123. Okay. So that is logged in. Now, one thing I've noticed that it has failed at, it's saying that these other users we created who are in New York and Boston, they're 0 miles away. So it's not picking up the locations correctly. So that may be something it does in the next round of feature testing. Okay. This works okay. I'm just letting you know that I'm able to register test user 5. Okay, I've completed the plan successfully. The following steps executed. Are you ready to deploy? So again, it's trying to push me to that deployment phase, and I'm not ready. We are not ready to deploy. I'm still missing features. So I'm saying we're not ready to deploy. We're still missing features. For example, the location distance isn't working. Let's see what it says there. So again, I'm not going too much into detail, purely putting my no-code hat on. Now, if you're an engineer or developer, you'll be able to lay all of those instructions out. You'd be able to know exactly what the exact steps were, but that's just not how potentially you and I would do it. Okay, so it's fixing the location distance and improving nearby user functionality. It's just starting on that now. Once it's done that, I'm also going to click on the menu icons above here. We also need to fix that if we need a better homepage, of course. So I think it's just determining the best approach, whether we sign on as a new user. I'm also not a fan, being based in the UK. Obviously, we are tiny compared to our American counterparts. So when you're talking about distance, if you're just putting from the center, if you're just putting New York to Chicago, that's not going to be very accurate. So I really want to narrow that down by more of a postcode. So we probably need some kind of Google Maps integration. For example, if you was to say where I am in Essex to the centre of London, and the centre of London in terms of maps is Charing Cross Station. So all maps determine Charing Cross as being the centre of London. So when you see on the street signs, Central London, that is to Charing Cross Station. I don't know what that would be for Denver, Boston, or New York. But one side of New York to another is going to be quite a distance. Okay, so after logging in as a test user, can you navigate to the profile page and check it displays nearby users? So I'm going to go click this button just to try that, the login page. And it works. We're going to go test user 5. Okay, let's see other users. Okay, now it's saying there are no nearby users. So, a couple of questions here. What is it determining as nearby? How do I set the parameters for test user 5 to give a mile distance? So if I say I only want to speak to people that are in 5 miles or 10 miles, there's no way for me to input that yet. So let me have a look on profile. Yeah, okay. There is no input for me to look up other members within a certain distance. I need to be able to add this. Also, it's better if we used postcodes rather than cities for better accuracy. Let's see what it suggests. I don't want to suggest any type of map service. I want to see if this can come up with a solution. So I'm just going to hit enter. And obviously, again, this is quite an ugly app at this stage. So I'm just focusing on the back-end functionality at this point. Although, again, we don't want it to be too flashy. It is for senior citizens. We want it to be quite simple and, I guess, like intentionally designed quite clunky, to be honest. Not packed with lots of different features and options. And I don't want to be disrespectful to any senior citizens at all, but I just want this to be quite a simple interface for easy use. Okay, so still determining the best approach. Please update your location to see nearby users. Yeah, we need an input. That's where we're missing. We need that input to be able to update a location. Also, that is white on grey. That is not easy to read at all. I don't like square buttons either. It's quite clunky. Everything's very square and basic. So we definitely want to make this neater without going over the top. Okay, still thinking about it. And something we haven't touched upon as yet as well is the usage limits. Even though I'm a fully paid member, we've been going for about 35 minutes at the moment. It's a bit hit and miss of what the usage limit is. It's not quite clear. So we shouldn't hit that within an hour, but I have done. And the times that I have hit that is where Replit has hit the buffers, which really hit the brakes. So it's just asking the same questions. It's looping, asking me to test something, looping, asking the same question. It does the loops. And after a certain amount of time, it says you're out of time usage, you're out of credits. I'm like, but it's because this has failed, not because it's really updated anything. So it's a bit strange and a bit frustrating. Okay, so it says, can you navigate to the search page and verify the search functionality users nearby? Okay, I'm also going to say, can we have a keep me signed in button? Toggle to save me having to keep signing in. Okay, I'm going to keep that there just because I want to have that as a feature. Certainly if you're an older person as well. I mean, actually age is irrelevant on that one, so I'll take that back. But just, you don't want to keep logging in every time. So let me just do that again. Test user 5. Test password. 1, 2, 3. Oh. Can we also have an eye icon next to the password so that we can see the password if we want. Okay, so two little slight tweak features there. So we want to have a keep me signed in toggle, so we can tick that and keeps us signed in for a certain period of time. I haven't defined that actually, but we'll see what it comes up with. And also, can we have an eye icon next to the password so that we can see the password as we type, if we'd like, as we type, if we want. Oh, okay, now it's hit a programming error. So whatever changes that made, it created an error. So let's copy that. So here we go. It's a lot of text, but you can't paste a lot of text in. So I've asked it for two new features and also let it know that there's been an error. Can it troubleshoot that? Now I'm going to click on this progress page just to kind of show you this as well. So we haven't really looked at that, but this is where Replit in the background adds all the files, installs all the libraries, and restarts it. So it's just thinking about it at the moment. Hopefully we'll get there soon. Okay, so there's editing modules there. Now I did see it had, you may have seen it had some, a line in red. So I don't know if that is where the error is, or where an error was, I should say. Definitely when there's red in an interpreter, there's usually an error. So it is editing the app Python file, executing Flash, editing the login HTML. Okay, let's go back to the web view. Okay, so it's got an eye icon. You can see it's put the eye icon. It's put it in the wrong place. And it's actually not clickable. So, yeah, it's not figured out that prompt very well. Also, I wonder if it... Yeah. So you can't do anything with it. So it's put an eye icon there, but with no use or functionality whatsoever. But we'll try this one with the keep me signed in button. Once it just finishes this part. Okay, can you test the search functionality by entering a valid UK postcode and distance? So let's do test user 5. I'm going to try the keep me signed in and I'm going to log in. Okay, still got the error. It won't let me log in. I'm just going to cut and paste that. All right, now I'm going to double check here because it might be that I'm putting the password in as test password 123. So I just want to double check Here it does say test pass 123. So, which begs another couple of questions about getting your password wrong. Doesn't throw up an error to say, no, that is correct, test password 123. So it should work, but it doesn't have the option if you've got your password. Obviously, it's not, I'm not going to get that password because it's going to an example.com email address. But it doesn't have any functionality to let you know if the password's incorrect. I think I'm going to try to, once I get it working again, I'll intentionally put in a wrong password and see what that throws back. Okay, so we are looking at username and password. Can you check the login functionality and then access the profile page? Check if it handles cases where a user's postcode, might be missing or invalid. Okay. Keep me signed in, log in. Okay, so it's fixed that error, which is good. So we've now got a search nearby users button. But let me just read this. Can you please test the login function and then access the profile page? Yes. Check if it handles cases where a user's postcode might be missing or invalid. Well, that has got none. So I think it handles that. Let me search for nearby users, see if that part works. Search distance, about 1,000 miles. Okay, well, let me 100 miles. It probably wouldn't bring anyone up then. Okay, so there's no users found within 100 miles of my postcode. Okay, but it works. The functionality works. Okay, this works. I'm going to address the eye. The eye icon doesn't allow me to see my password. Also, it is out of alignment. It should display to the right of the. Should display to the right of the password box. Let's see if it fixes that. Okay, we'll look at the other profiles in a minute. Okay, we're addressing the issues with the password visibility toggle and its alignment. The development team is making the necessary changes and we'll test it once it's done. I'll let you know when it's ready for you to test again. I mean, so far it's built a functional app. Still needs a lot of refinement, but we're getting there. We are getting there. And we are, just going to scroll to the top here. We started this 44 minutes ago. So we've got, within 44 minutes, we have a basic web structure with login. Must have a database at the back end because it's saving the details. It has a search distance functionality. Okay, let's put this eye icon. Although it hasn't. Just a little thing, hasn't quite closed this box off. But let's test it. Test password 123. Can we see that? No. You can hover over it, but it is not clickable. Okay, that I isn't clickable to be able to see my password. Okay, let's see how it handles that. And while that's thinking about it, have you tried Replit yet? Have you built anything? Have you got stuck? Let us know where you are in your project build. You know, don't share your $1 million ideas in the comments, but it'd be great to hear any particular features or things that you are using Replit for that, you know, it'd be great for others to try. And hopefully you've got them working. Okay, so that's determining the best approach. Just gonna check this box doesn't do anything. No. There's no box outside that I can see. No. I mean, it's hover. You can hover over it like it's clickable, but it doesn't do anything. Okay, they've identified the issue. The development team is working on it. You obviously this bit more on Replit is that it only went live, I think, at the beginning of September in terms of the AI agent. I know Replit's been around for a while, but the AI agent part of this is still a new feature. It's actually in, I think they call it experimental phase. But as an experiment, it's costing users money. So it should be better. You really want to get something like, if I deploy this, it's so ugly, it's unusable. It's like how websites were back in the 90s. So it's not something we can use. But it is getting there, and it will only get better. It will only improve. So I have got this for a year, and I hope within 6 months, I hope by 2025, I'll really be able to build something and deploy it, and have a basic SaaS product. So it's identified the issue. It's restarting. Let's give it another go. Aha, and that has, there you go, I've just written hello. So that does now work. Hasn't closed off this box. I may come back to that later. It's a minor thing, but it does show if you want that locked or if you want it open. So that's good. So it's fixed the feature. Okay, so I won't, it may restart, so I'm not going to put in the password just yet. So what is the home button? Is that different? Okay. Okay, let's just let that restart. I may create a separate username here, something that's close to my address, so that we can actually test the location and see if it matches us. It's just restarting at the moment, so I won't do it yet. Okay, slowing it down a bit now. It's taking its time trying to get this relaunched. Ooh, come on now. Getting tired, people. Okay, it seems to have got stuck in a loop here, so let me restart that. Are you stuck in a loop? Says we've identified an issue with the password visibility toggle not being clickable. Development team is making changes to fix it. We'll let you know. We wait. Apologise, it seems like we're stuck in a loop. We've been making incremental changes and asking for repeated testing to ensure everything's working. Let me summarise our current status. We've fixed the registration, implemented a password visibility toggle, and added a keep me signed in feature. However, we're still working on improving the nearby user functionality and location distance calculation. Is there a specific feature you'd like to focus on next, or do you have any concerns we should address? Well, my concerns are it's not working as I'd like it. Let me log in again. Test user 5. And this is where we get to one of the errors that I kept finding. So basically the replit has gone. So there doesn't seem to be a memory of it. So let me put that in. When I log in, it cannot find the REPL. Where has it gone? Okay, and now it's not even thinking about it. So there's no little sign here to say that you're still thinking about it. Now it's thinking about it. Let's see what it comes up with. I apologise for the inconvenience. We're investigating the issue with accessing the REPL. Our team are checking the server status and will provide a solution shortly. In the meantime, could you try refreshing the page? If that didn't work, we'll guide you through restarting the server. So that's restarted the server. I'm going to hit F5 just to refresh it. I might just wait until it's finished that determining best approach. And that's saying presenting the results. So it's taking a screenshot. So it's trying to see where it is. Okay, it has restarted the server. Can you please test the search functionality by entering a valid UK postcode and a search radius? Does it return a list of nearby users? So it's asking me a question about a different part of the app. So I'm not in that page. So I'll try to log in. I couldn't even log in last time. So let me try to log in again. Okay, let's log in. Okay, so it has logged in successfully. No nearby users found. Search nearby users. Okay, now I'm going to search this, but I already know that we've not created a second user. So we need to really create the second user. We'll do a 100 mile radius search, and it will say not found anyone. Does it return a list? So does it return a list? It does return. I'm just going to give it this output. So it does work. I think it would work, although I've not tested it with a nearby user. So I may do that next. We're investigating the issue of the search functionality. Not finding any nearby users. Well, I know why it's not finding any nearby users. There's not enough users, or there's none within 100 miles, and that's the maximum search radius. So it's gonna look into that. But once it's done that, because I don't think there'll be a problem with it, I'm going to create a new user. We'll test it that way. I just don't want to amend it as it's in this thinking or amending stage, because I think if I hit F5 as it's in the middle of an amendment, it might just crash the whole thing. So it's quite temperamental. So I just want to wait for that to finish before moving on. Okay, just so it's still thinking about it, but it has now created this console tab. So this is where it adds the any logs. So sometimes if it gets stuck, it asks for you just cut and paste the logs into the search box. Just detecting issues, thinking again. There's a lot of red in the progress there. Okay, there's quite a lot of waiting around as it thinks, checks errors. This is always the bit that makes me nervous, because when this typically happens, I can't kind of recover things. Thinking. Reviewing instructions. I haven't given it any other instructions. Yeah, so this is where it gets a little bit frustrating. It's saying it's editing some of the Python files, presenting the results. Let's look at that progress tab again. So I'm wondering if it's struggling to work out that there isn't another user within 100 miles of test user 5. And that's where I need to maybe stop it, maybe pause it. Yeah, I'm going to pause it. Let me see if I can run it again. So I'm going to log out. Register. Postcode CO11 TH. I hope that's a proper postcode. In fact, let me do one I know. RM12 QD. I'll register. Okay. Now I did put in an incorrect username and password there. Now I'm not sure if the incorrect, so it's good that it has popped up an invalid username and password, so that's a good thing. I'm not sure what I'm sure it was test man. Maybe it needs to be in caps. Test man, let's see if that makes a difference. Okay, I think the username has to be capitalized. So that's a good thing to know. Okay, let's search nearby users. RM 1, 2. Okay, let's do 100 miles. Search. Okay, so it's saying there are no users in 100 miles. So I'm just going to bring up Google Maps here. And check the distance. Okay, so if these two distances are within 100 miles, then there's something wrong. And we know that they are 53 miles. So it should, that postcode should have picked up my other user. So test user 5 was in Colchester, which is in Essex, and this RM1 is a Romford postcode, and it is within 100 miles of each other. Okay, I have added a user called testman and made sure that his postcode is within 100 miles of test user 5. But it's still saying that there are no users found within 100 miles. This doesn't work. Also, it's given me an instruction there that says, could you please run the check_users_pi script manually and provide the output. Now this is where it does fall down, because it gets to the point where this can't execute the actions that you're asking it, and then it asks you to do things, which I think is more developer or more advanced level. I don't know how to run a check_users.py script manually. It will help verify users and postcodes are being stored. Now really, you should be asking, can you do that? It's a no-code platform. Why are you asking me to do technical things? That's not the point of this app. So I'm also going to say, in fact, I'm going to ask it the same question back. Let's see if it does that. No, could you please run the check users manually and provide the output? So again, we've not built, in my mind, we've not built the most sophisticated website, not the most sophisticated functionality. This is fairly basic, inputting your name and address and then having a postcode search. These are kind of the things that an engineer would probably do. This would be within like first 100 days of code. This is not something, I don't think this program in Replit at the moment will be able to get you anything you can make money off. Like, I would be shocked. You may be able to do some very simple tasks. I think you'd be able to build a game of Tetris, maybe a basic chess game, or you'd be able to build something that is so basic and unnecessary, like a calculator. Like, what are you going to do with that? They're just kind of useless. It's okay as a little fun tool, as a gimmick, but it just gets frustrating. You spend hours. I've spent literally hours trying to build 5 or 6 different apps. I'll show you them in a sec. And you just have to give up, because you can't get past a certain point where it either doesn't understand, loses its memory. Very frustrating. I mean, it's still going at the moment. We may get something out of this, but I just lose a bit of hope in this being anywhere near a finished product. Okay, now it's asking me a question. Can you perform a search within test user's postcode and a radius of 20 miles, then provide the server logs? No, I don't know why it's saying 20 miles, because we've looked on Google Maps. We know that it's at least 53 miles or 57 if you do a different route. So we can only do that within really 100 miles or 80 miles just to make sure that it does pick something up. So we can do that. And the other question I asked it is, can you run that search for the check_users Pi scripts? So the system is going to provide those results. But if that's the case, I don't know why it asks me. Why ask me to do it? If this can do it, just do it. Why ask the user input? I don't know. I don't know why it does that. Okay, so let's perform this task. Can we perform another search with testman? Keep them signed in. Okay, search nearby users. I'm gonna say 80. I know it's told me to do 20 miles, but I'm going to do 80 because I just want to make sure it captures that. Okay, it's not finding anyone. So we've spent an hour or so. Really, I don't think I'm going to continue with this. Again, it's just another waste of time, another app that I could sit here and just continue. But it's taken me an hour to try to create something where it's quite a basic function. I mean, it's an ugly website, doesn't have basic functionality. This is no improvement from WordPress. I could set up a WordPress site within an hour with all its functionality, much better. Just download a template from somewhere, much cheaper than paying for Replit. Kind of sorry, folks, but I tried to build it. I wanted to be as raw and open and honest as possible, but I just end up yet again tearing my hair out. Oh, one thing I did say that I was going to show you the other projects just to show that I have tried. So I've tried to do like an answer bot, a keyword explorer, a job page scraper, a Slack bot's desk scheduler. Let me just show you that as an example. So I tried to build a Slack bot so that so a user can book desks in a remote or hybrid working environment in the London office. And I just got stuck. I mean, this was 5 days ago, but you can see here that more time entering all these details and just on and on and on. Getting test keys, email STMPs, which is fine, but yeah, it's certainly this. I don't know who this guy here is, but this product for me is not worth it. So all in all, unfortunately, I would give it a big thumbs down for Replit. Don't bother, save your money. Try things like, I haven't tried Cursor yet, so I may give that a go. And I know there is improvements to various tools, but this one, Replit, probably gets a 2 out of 10 for me as my overall score, because it gets only so far. Very basic. I'm trying to really now nail it down to trying to build the most basic things I can, and even that it can't fail. So look, if you've stuck around here, you've got the patience of a saint. I thank you very much. I will try other tools, and I'll try and walk through them. So I'll try and I like to keep it real. I want you to kind of see the mistakes that I'm making along the way, to see if it's just me being an idiot. But I am not a coder. So thank you very much for joining, and please subscribe, and I'll see you soon.